station. We are a part of your life.
This is 93.7 Citizen FM, Abuja. Time for news on the hour.
It's midday. Good afternoon. You're tuning and listening to the news at noon here on Citizen FM 93.7 Abuja. I'm Rayo Motosho. U.S. President Joe Biden has announced a delegation that is expected to attend the inauguration of President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu next Monday on his behalf. The White House stated this Monday in an official statement. According to the statement, the 9-member delegation will be led by the Secretary of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, Marcia L. Fudge. The Port Harcourt refinery will be ready before the end of the year, while those in Warri and Kaduna will start production next year. Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Malam Malik Yari, said, while giving an update on the status of the refinery's rehabilitation projects, Yari said the Port Harcourt refinery, old and new, with a combined capacity of 210,000 barrels per day, will have been ready this month, but for some supply issues. He said most of the challenges have been addressed and expressed optimism that with the completion of the rehabilitation and coming on board of the Dangote refinery in Lagos, Nigeria stands to gain more. Meanwhile, the federal government, in partnership with the World Health Organization, has flagged off a 3-pillar approach that will prepare for, detect, and respond to emergencies during outbreak of diseases. Flagging off the program in Damaturu, Yobe State, the chief consultant epidemiology of the Federal Ministry of Health, Dr. Gordon Tadom, revealed the initiative tagged Strengthening and Utilizing Response Groups for Emergency Surge is aimed at improving readiness and coordination at all levels. The Yobe State, recovering from Boko Haram insurgency, is faced with both human and natural disasters. In 2022 alone, 74 persons were killed and 30,000 hectares of farmland submerged by flood, while 35,000 households displaced from their ancestral homes across the state, despite the warnings by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET. Aviation Minister Senator Hadi Sirika Monday commissioned the expanded first phase of the General Aviation Terminal and the Cargo Terminal at the Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos. The projects are worth 2.2 billion naira. According to Sirika, the GAT expansion, which was carried out by Messrs. Glovesley Pro Project Limited, will increase the capacity of the terminal from 254 to 1,054. The facility also comes with the complement of 3 standard departure halls, 3 VIP lounges, 2 protocol lounges, 3 lifts, 4 toilets, 5 office spaces, and 5 staircases, amongst others. He explained that the projects were conceived to address the decade-long limited capacity challenge of the chairman of the Presidential Election Petition Court, Justice Harunat Amani, has dismissed the application for live coverage of court proceedings. At the proceeding in Abuja on Monday, Justice Amani said the application by the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and Labour Party lacked merit. In a unanimous decision, the panel held that the order sought by the petitioner was outside the scope of the petition, adding that televising of proceedings is not provided for in any law. The panel stated that the court is created by the Constitution and operates under the law by the Court of Appeal, and that it was created to hear and determine the petitions before it and cannot act as a vanguard. According to the justices, the undue pressure of allowing cameras into the courtroom should be avoided, as the impact will have on witnesses cannot be predicted. The United Nations says it fully supports moves to expand facilities to reintegrate surrendering Islamic insurgents in northeastern Nigeria because it is a key step to achieving peace in Africa's most populous nation. As part of efforts to end the conflict, the government is reintegrating fighters who voluntarily surrender. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum said at least 40,000 Boko Haram fighters and their families have turned themselves in to authorities since last year as the group reels from the death of its leader early in 2021 and as rival ISWAP seeks to absorb them.
The objective of the Borno model is to facilitate the return of individuals and families leaving armed groups to their communities of origin in a manner compliant with state, national, and international legal requirements, in line with operational best practices, as a strategy for achieving lasting peace and restoring civil authority and development. The model seizes on the momentum of mass exit and provides foundation on which level and transition justice systems can build and have peace restored to the region. The Borno model deals with many of the same issues found in more precisely delineated operation practices, such as the DDR and Operation Safe Corridor.
The Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, has emphasized the need for stakeholders to understand challenges facing the basic education subsector and join hands with the government to strategically resolve them. UBEC Executive Secretary Hamid Baboy disclosed this at a one-day basic education colloquium in honor and memory of the pioneer Executive Secretary of the Commission, Professor Gidado Tahir, in Abuja. Baboy said the idea of the colloquium was to project the kind of dynamics and challenges within the basic education subsector in the area of funding, school attendance, and teacher development within the context of legacies of Tahir.
UBEC has always been involved in this kind of projects because we have always believed that you need to engage, you need to discuss, you need to strategize, and you need to also get involved in research projects that can help you understand better those and how to address. So it's a continuous process. We have always been engaging in this kind of colloquia. We have a standing research committee that had been headed earlier by Professor Gidado Tahir, but now we have to look for a new chairman.
A lack of adequate financing for tackling climate change in Africa has become dire and is choking the continent. The African Development Bank AFDB Group President Dr. Akinwumi Adesina has said he is addressing scores of journalists from Africa and around the world at a media lunch organized to kick off the bank's Group 2023 annual meetings in the Egyptian resort city of Sharm el-Sheikh. Adesina called out developed nations for not honoring the $100 billion a year climate finance pledge they made to developing countries.
What the African Pharmaceutical Technology Foundation will do is first and foremost help African indigenous pharmaceutical companies to access proprietary technologies globally. So it will try to intermediate. The second, it will build the know-how, technology know-how of the African companies. 3, it will also support the regulatory environment so that when they produce the medicines, they're actually safe and quality medicines. And finally, whether it's in the US, whether it's in Asia, whether it's in Europe or Latin America, or in India or Bangladesh, when you see massive amount of pharmaceutical drugs being produced, it's because they have very solid research and development ecosystem.
The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, has reiterated its commitment to the smooth airlift of Nigerian pilgrims as well as provide them the best services in the course of administering the 2023 Hajj exercise. According to a statement issued to clear the air on a trending news item that pilgrims have been directed to pay additional $100 for the Hajj exercise, NACON's Deputy Director, Information and Publications, Musa Ubandaiki, emphasized the closure of Sudan airspace for security reasons due to its current crisis necessitated the increase The commission stated that the closure of the Sudan airspace has led to a situation whereby all Hajj airlift flights will operate through alternate routes, which are from 1 hour 40 minutes to 3 hours longer, depending on the departure points in Nigeria. NACON also explained that the alternate routes will necessitate carriers to fly through airspaces of Cameroon, Central African Republic, Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Eritrea, with additional costs of aviation fuel and overflight charges. Witnesses in the Sudanese capital reported clashes and airstrikes minutes after a one-week humanitarian ceasefire took effect Monday night, with a smell of smoke still lingering after gunfire and explosions rocked Khartoum throughout the day. The witnesses reported combat in northern Khartoum and airstrikes in the east of the capital shortly after 9:45 p.m. when the truce was to take effect. A series of previous truce announcements were all violated by the warring generals, but the United States and Saudi Arabia, which brokered the deal, had said this was one different because it was signed by the parties and will be supported by a ceasefire monitoring mechanism. A witness in southern Khartoum had reported an airstrike, followed by silence shortly before the ceasefire was to take effect. And that's the Citizen FM News at noon, as compiled and edited by Lawrence Moite. You can visit us on any of our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm Ryan Motosho. Thanks for listening. Good afternoon.